Brooklyn, we're down 3-0. It's not looking good. But I think there's a better future coming for us. Let's talk about it, Brooklyn. I I have to say that I've seen some sad basketball, and we're going to talk about said sad basketball. But to be honest, the night of the draft lottery, I was watching with bated breath, thinking this could be the year that the Knicks could get the first overall. Nobody's talking about it. Their fan base has been humbled. And when it came up to show that they got eighth, it hit me in my chest like an epiphany. And that epiphany was, God damn, am I happy I'm not them. I mean, we have Kyrie Irving. He's a hippie. And Sam, my partner, my partner in this front office endeavor, why don't you come in and just say hello to the people, one, and tell them how you feeling about the Nets right now before I jump into the whole Kyrie situation. Go ahead, say hello, Sam.
So, first Nets Nation, I think we all saw some iteration of what's going on happening. It's a shame, but I'm happy they're playing hard, and all the best to whatever has happened to Joe Harris, because that was a bizarre story that obviously came out right after the game. But I think a lot of people on Twitter I've seen have used the phrase 1-2-3 Cancun when a team goes down 3-0.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Nets are going to be that type of team. Look, the Sixers, they seem like they have 1-2-3 Cancun written all over it. I think they're already planning.
Gutless.
I think they're already planning where they're all going to vacation with their wives and significant others, but I don't think the Nets are ready yet. I think the Nets they seem like the type of team that will be a slow packing. I think they might not be on the plane tomorrow night at 8:45 or 9 or whatever. There might be a late flighter the next day, because I think they're pretty invested in what's going on. So I'm proud of the team. I think I kept on thinking, it's funny, Eve, during a lot of this, I kept on thinking if instead of LeVert right now, the guy that they had was like D Will or something. Like, that this team would have rolled over to a point where they would lose by like 40 in every single game and without any effort whatsoever.
Fair to say, yeah.
And so that made me kind of happy about them and the state that they're in. And look, as we've been saying, and what will be the underlying theme of this podcast and every podcast we do in the off season, there's way bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah, and I feel like it just ruins the joy of watching the team. I have strong doubts, and I'm dying to see what the Vegas line is going to be, because it's going to tempt me to bet the under, because I believe certain things about that team. But what I'm seeing in these 3 games. And I after the second loss, I really just didn't have a stomach to like just come on and bash the team and talk bad about them. I wanted to see a second game to just kind of come to a real understanding, to have a conversation about what we saw. And really, for me, it comes down to just, this was a poorly built roster. And you could tell me poorly built from now is unfair to say, and I'm sorry, I'm not saying from now. I'm not just saying for the bubble. I'm saying for the season, the way this roster was built is kind of a byproduct I mean, right now is a byproduct of that. Um, we need to go into this off season with a different mindset, and this nonsense of having these veteran coaches on the floor has to stop. We need players who can actually run and jump. That is my takeaway from this whole 3-0 in the series. It's not. I have no doubt that they're not going to quit, because these are guys who are on the fringe of their careers in the NBA. They are fighting to keep this dream alive. However, this team is like, we played Garrett Temple the most minutes of this series.
Yeah, he was brutal. You were I'm eating crow on a lot of that. He was a walking knife in the heart on every single shot he took.
He destroys momentum.
He is a big time. I texted to you. I said, what did I say during game 2 or 3? I said, like, he gives me Alan Crabb vibes, and you were even like, no, dude, it's you can't even disrespect Alan Crabb that way.
Because Alan Crabb is not going to shoot 28% from 3.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, he shot below advertised. Like, we're disappointed in Alan Crabb, because what he was supposed to be able to do was shoot 3-pointers, and if he could just do that, he would be fine. And he was shooting, 38%. This is a 28% shooter from 3.
Yeah.
This guy, the reason why you hate to talk bad about him is because he's such an amazing dude off the court. I believe he's good for the locker room. But I believe he's good for the locker room as a coach. And I tweeted this earlier, and I wanted to do this exercise with you right on live on the podcast while we were talking about it. Tell me the team that has a Garrett Temple on it, right? That plays. The Lakers signed Jared Dudley, and I think LeBron noticed that he can't fucking play, and he doesn't get on the court. And they were struggling. They needed something, and they didn't go to him at all. The next team that's close to or in competition for the championship is the Clippers. Do the Clippers have someone that's like a Garrett Temple, a coach, a veteran coach on the floor type of guy? I mean, talk to me, Sam. Like, is there why is having a Garrett Temple a thing every season ever since Sean Marks took over? He started with Scola and Foy. He then went to Dudley and Carroll, and you know what, Carroll, I will never besmirch him to be that guy. He balled, he played for us. But the other guys I'm mentioning were horrible and got intense amounts of minutes. And now it's Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple is not a good basketball player. I submit to you. Tell me a team that's playing a Garrett Temple that's trying to win a championship.
The thing he's got going for him is that he's like a mediocre defender. He's semi-long, and he, in the past, if I'm going based off of what Marks was looking at, had years like in 2014, 2015, and 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, where he shot like over 36%, 37% from 3. So, I mean, that's what he's got. That's what he's got going for him. His actual field goal percentage is always low. It's always around 420 or lower. So he's like, it's not like you have any confidence with him once he steps into the arc, but
his defensive rating is 112. He's a bad defender. He's a step. I mean, it doesn't look as bad. Like, the presentation of his game, he looks like I'm just talking about the presentation of the game, not the quality of it, not the production of it. But he looks like a young Jim Jackson, a combo guard dude who is about 6'5", can do a little bit of everything. But Jim Jackson was a beast. This dude is a step slower, Jim Jackson, and it's
right.
It kills the Nets game to the point where, you know, they completely left him alone. They did
Can I,
not guard him. And I watched this happen time and time again on how they would tilt the defense to the side of the court wherever Karras was, and they'd swing the ball, they'd run their offense, they'd drive and dish, and it would end up in this dude's hand to the tune of 14 shots, I think yesterday he had. Like, you don't want that guy taking 14 shots. It's horrific.
yeah. Let me ask you a quick question. I'm wondering if we can do a quick exercise, because I think this will go into a little bit of what you wanted to say about Kyrie, and it also go into some offseason.
But before you go, you didn't answer my challenge though. Can you name a team that has a Garrett Temple on it, or a Jared Dudley, like the way we had Jared Dudley playing heavy minutes to be a coach on the floor, and he can't run and jump? And you know,
like a good team.
Yeah.
Let's say quickly off the top of my head, Clippers don't, Bucks don't, because I mean you could say like even the older guys on the Bucks like Korver and Wes Matthews still have a purpose.
Yeah, and it's not to lead them either; it's to space the floor so that
right.
Giannis can dribble drive.
No, I mean look, I think the answer to your question is like he really showed. I mean, like they were not even asking. I think the key point for what you were saying about Temple, and this will actually segue well into the question I wanted to ask you, was they really asked for Temple to do like the bare minimum. Like he was in a role that I think actually most mediocre to below average NBA players would love to have, which like, look, like no one was expecting anything from this Nets team. Like you were like, no one was going to say, oh, that was a bad shot. That wasn't a bad shot. This isn't like the most intense thing ever. And like he had, he wasn't missing contested threes. He was missing wide open threes. And it was a bad series. And like the first thing I can go to and think of is like, this guy's 34 years old. Like at a certain point you die.
What are you investing in? The minutes have to, when in an NBA season, the minutes are either spent getting better, gaining chemistry and continuity, or developing talent.
But don't you think he at least to push back and to kind of go into a theme that you've done in the past? I know he's a newer net, but he is at least more of a helpful locker room guy, as opposed to them getting some guy who's maybe similar to him in the past, but like really was like a friend of Kyrie or friend of Katie.
Sam, I would go with that if the Nets had locker room problem guys. These are Boy Scouts. What are they going to count on Garrett Temple to go drag Jarrett Allen out of the strip club at 5 a.m.? Are they gonna need Garrett Temple to go, to the Mohegan Sun and pull Karis LeVert off the craps table? These are good kids. You drafted Boy Scouts. You missed opportunities, and when I say you, I'm talking to Sean Marks.
Oh, I know.
You know, you didn't get certain guys who could help this team because they weren't good guys. And now you need another player who's hurting you on the court because he's the team leader. Why do the Nets have the most assistants in the league? It blows my mind. Like, and for me, it's not even about for my pleasure of seeing my team win or seeing my team be competitive. The reason why this shit makes me angry, Sam, I'm sorry, I know we got other stuff we want to do really quick, but I just got to say this.
Well, it weaves well into what I wanted to ask you anyway.
You know, I think this is robbing kids of their opportunity. You make your name for yourself in the playoffs, and Jared Allen balled out, and Karis LeVert balled out. I mean, everyone is killing Karis. Everyone is, he had 11 assists this last game and 15 assists the first game.
Yep, he was balling.
They threw triple teams at him. They ran
Yep.
a play that I used to run